Well, so the power of Excel consists in the simultaneous use of numerical values that are introduced in a cell with the expressions. Logically, when it's time to carry out, for example, tasks like adding two different amounts, in this case, the 23 and 34 that we already have in different cells, this is when I see that what I truly need is to enter an expression which is to add two amounts. But I am not talking about two amounts introduced by typing on the keyboard. They're numerical values. Instead, I am trying to use two amounts that I already have somewhere in the spreadsheet. Alright, so in this case, what I have to do is called using a reference to the contents of the corresponding cells. In other words, I want to add the quantities 23 and 34 in the cells A1 and A2. Therefore, what I have to introduce in the expression is the following. Expression equals sign A1 plus A2. Why? Because the cells are called using their column and row identifier. A1 is the cell that contains the 23 and A2 is the cell that contains the 34. We see that in addition, when we put in an expression the reference to a specific cell of Excel, we see that it is highlighted in a given color. For example, the A1 is in blue, which is the color that surrounds cell A1, and we see that A2 is green, which is precisely the color of cell A2. This is to make sure that the references to the cells that I have written truly point to the cells containing the data. When I validate this expression at this moment, the expression A1 plus A2 will be processed with the values currently contained in these cells, which are 23 and 34. Logically, when I hit enter, the result of adding these two quantities appears, which is 57. I've introduced the reference to the cells using the keyboard, A1 plus A2, writing the A. I have not worried about whether they are in upper or lowercase. In fact, the columns are usually expressed in uppercase. What we see that the result of the expression introduced in cell A3 is the contents of cell A1 plus the contents of cell A2, that is, independently of whether I have entered it in lowercase, it has converted it for me into the normal Excel annotation. I could also have done it more graphically. For example, if I here want in cell A5 to introduce the product of these two amounts, I would need the expression A1 asterisk A2. And I could also do it by clicking the amounts with the cursor. I select cell A1, and in this moment it enters the contents, it enters the reference to this cell. I indicate the operator multiplication asterisk, and we see that I have to introduce a value. I could do so using the keypad, or I could signal the corresponding cell, the second value that I want to enter in the multiplication. And there we have it. I see that I am in select mode. It has selected this quantity 34, and I already have the expression just as I wanted, or as I would have written the references using the keyboard. This is very helpful when I have a lot of data in our spreadsheet. The sheet is very big, maybe I am in a small level zoom, so it is difficult for me to see exactly what the cell reference is. It is always much easier to select the corresponding value. I hit enter and it processes this product, and I can do all operators in this way and with all the data that I have on the screen. I hope you have found this video useful. See you in the next one.